So guys, now I wanted to do kind of a full review of this vehicle, right? The F-16AM MLU, right? The Block 20 coming for the Swedish. What are the differences and all the inner bits of the aircraft that he has right now? It is not ready yet, so there is that. Just bear in mind that it's work in progress, but there are some pretty interesting things. So the first thing, guys, is that for now, the Raider, on the very least, it's called an APG-66, just without designation, right? But it does have TWS and other like ground modes. So I would assume that it is a more modernized version. We're gonna have to wait to see. But yeah, as you can see, we have TWS that you can launch your AIM-120Bs, right? This is the AIM-120 that it uses. You also have normal search. You have GMTI, which is for ground moving, so targets that are moving on the ground. So let's see if there is time here for me to detect these targets. Maybe it will not because the targets are kind of perpendicular, but you get the point. You will detect targets that are moving on the ground. Then, of course, you have search boost filter. So these are the modes. This Raider, on the stat card, says that it has 75 kilometers. It will probably have around there, in the live server. So nothing too fancy, okay? Another thing is the cockpit, guys. So the cockpit here, as you can see, it's a very similar cockpit from the other F-16s from the same category, modernized F-16As, right? The engine is pretty much the same, so everything on the regards of the aircraft is pretty much the same. And let me just see. There's one thing that I need to show to you guys is that for now, as you can see, no helmet mounted sight or display, right? So it does not have a helmet. And even on the radar here, it doesn't have it, or for IR missiles. So for now, it does not have any type of helmet, okay? So it's something that needs to be, addressed, because maybe you will get a new BR if it doesn't get the helmet, just like some other F-16s back in the day got it, right? So, yeah. And, yeah, you do have plenty of missiles and, stuff that you can use for air-to-ground as well. So for air-to-air, of course, AIM-9Ms and AIM-120s, like I told you guys. But for air-to-ground, I think the major change from the other F-16s, it's not only that, we're going to show later the rest, but is the Penguin missile, okay? So this is a anti-ship missile, okay? What that means is that although it is IR guided, normally, guys, it will be more focused on trying to sink a ship, okay? So what that means is that the seeker head, although it does lock to targets on the ground, on normal ground, it can lock onto a tank and stuff. It will be used as a missile that can lock, on the ground itself and not on the vehicle when it's a smaller vehicle. So as you can see, for ships, it works very well. I don't know if they're gonna change this, but for tanks and stuff, it is a little bit bugged, but you basically cannot get a proper lock on the vehicle itself, right? So you will try to get a lock like this, but it will lock the ground and not the actual target, okay? So as you can see, it just locks the ground. It's a little bit bugged that you can just, aim elsewhere, which is kind of weird, but you get the point, right? So for smaller targets like this, it is more, for now at least, it is more, of a missile that you will use to attack targets that are stationary, basically, right? As you can see, you can attack the target there. And yeah, it doesn't do a lot of damage. You gotta hit very directly. So it's not the best anti-ship missile. It's not the best anti-ship missile, period, right? But as well, if you want to try it out against tanks, it's not the greatest thing ever as well, okay? It will be just easier to use the Mavericks or other things like this, just because it's gonna be just a proper missile to be used with this, okay? So how it will work is basically the same as the F5 over here. It is a little bit bugged, as you saw on the F-16, but you can see that you can't really get a proper lock onto a target that is small like a tank, okay? So at the end of the day, yes, you can use it to lock a target and stuff, but it's more on targets such as like ships and stuff, bigger targets, okay? Maybe a mouse or something, you will be able to actually properly get a lock, but normally, guys, it will be just a ground lock Or not even that. Sometimes it doesn't even allow you to do that, see? So it's more of an anti-ship missile than anything else. So although in the F-16 is not ready, even the F-5 one doesn't really allow you to actually use it as an anti-tank missile too often, okay? So at the end of the day, I mean, it's better to just avoid maybe the missile. Maybe it's a little bit useless for now, but oh well, right? Where it comes under the vegans over here, the attack vegans, right? And it does have, for now, a 13.7 BR. So it does have some bugs. The sniper pod is not working yet fully, but it will be. But yeah, it has the sniper pod, which is one of the best pods you can have in the game. And as you can see, you have a multitude of weapons that you can take. AIM-120s, AIM-9s, of course, the L and the M. Also, of course, non-guided stuff like Mark 80 series of bombs over here. Mark 82, Mark 82 high drag, Mark 84, you know, napalm, of course. So you can use all of these things, and yeah. Then you have the JDAMs. Nothing that it's particularly too interesting. I mean, the ER versions are pretty interesting because they have a lot of range. But at the end of the day, they're just GPS guided and no laser or anything like that. So you have normal JDAMs as well, as you can see. Smaller JDAMs with the ER package, so longer ranges, you know, unguided rockets. You have the SDBs. If you want to use a GPS guided bomb, this might be the one for you to choose. Probably the best one out here. Unguided rockets again. So overall, a lot of things. But as well, the Maverick, you can use the Maverick G, which is amazing. It really is a good missile. But of course, you only can take 2 of them. And then you can take 6 Maverick D. So might as well just use the D model maybe. Just because you have more of them. But, you know, yeah, the G model is a much better missile to be used against the more modern MBTs, right? And then you have the AGM Penguin, right? So, again, guys, not very useful. So, at the end of the day, I would probably not use this loadout, for example. I would still try to use the Maverick. It's the missile that I like the most over here. And then probably some paveways or something like that. Just like a normal F-16, so nothing too fancy. One thing that I need to talk about is that I don't know if it's ready or not, but as you can see, it does have an ability of basically just using a mouse, right? So it's not fully ready yet, but it will be basically able to be using the mouse, just like the one with the French tech tree, right? So if you go here with the Belgian one, you will see that you can take the mouse system together with some payloads, you know, normally guided bombs or anything, which is this pylon over here. And it will probably have the mouse and the ability to just deploy flares and stuff. But normally they are only used in bombs and stuff like that, more for air to ground. So if you want to use for air to air, you probably will not be able to do that, or you will lose the missile. Okay, so it's problematic, I would say, right? And performance-wise, guys, well, it is pretty much the same as the other MLUs that you have, right? It is a vehicle that will have the same speed, pretty much, the same turn. There are slight differences, like very small differences between them. But overall, guys, it will be an aircraft that it's very light, and it turns very similarly to the Block 15. It might be a little bit heavier, I have to check, but the differences are very tiny if there are any at all, right? So a very good aircraft. Yes, it is a copy-paste, guys. You gotta kind of... It's complicated. I don't like copy-paste, but sometimes there isn't much to be added unless it's a copy-paste. So, I don't know. The question, actually, to be honest, it is, do you like to see this thing or not? That's kind of the idea. Would you prefer to never see this vehicle being added? Or it's better for you to have it be added with a little bit of a difference, but just overall a copy-paste over, you know, other vehicles? Because that's the question that you have to answer, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, you know, if you like the aircraft or not. There isn't too much of a possibility of other being added, right? Why did they add this vehicle? And we can take a look on the tech tree right now. That's, I think, the major point here. Why are they adding this thing? Well, let's be honest over here. The perfect aircraft that would be under these would be a B-placed Gripen. That's kind of the truth, right? It would be an aircraft that is more maybe focused on... I mean, it's the exact same, but sometimes it can be more used in combat in a B-placed configuration because you have less stuff for the pilot to do, right? So at the end of the day, I have a feeling that the B and D models could be the ones that really go here, right? Instead of this. But now let's take a look really, because this thing is more of a ground attacker kind of role over here, right? And is this thing actually better than the top tier ground attacker? Well, guys, it kinda is at the end of the day. And that's why I think they are adding it. So if you really take a look here, let's forget a little bit about the performance of the aircraft, because in a ground attacking capability, they will be very similar to each other. It won't matter too much what is the best dogfighter in the ground capacity, right? On the ground attacker capacity. So let's take a look on the weapons that you can take. Well, you can take 2 AIM-9s, and then you have to choose already. Do you take one very good RB75T, or even the AGM 75G, 65G here, which are both very good. One is TV, one is IR, but it doesn't matter, but you take only one. And then GPUs on regards of singular paveways, SDBs in the same pylons and everything. But yeah, just overall, a Maverick over here. Maybe the RB99s can be used here with countermeasures, which is great. But then you go, with the same things over here. So, for example, if you want to protect yourself, you will be able to use 2 Mavericks, and that's just 2 tanks. Maybe GPS-guided bombs that will take more, but even then, it's the same as the F-16. And if you really take a look on the F-16, guys, it is the same BR. But look at this. You can take AIM-120s together with 2 AIM-9s and still take, first of all, 6 Mavericks, as you can see over here. So you can take already more missiles. But even then, maybe you don't want to take, these many IR-guided Mavericks. Maybe you just are the heat, warhead Mavericks. Maybe you want the SEP-HE. Even then, guys, look at this. You can still take a paveway and still take the AIM-120s. So overall, the Gripen has one advantage on the ground capability, which is being able to take 4 of these Mavericks, which is great. But you can still take some pretty good weapons, and you are still defending yourself while with AIM-120s, while the Gripen will not be able to do that if it takes the 4 Mavericks. So you have a different flavor and a different capability here of defending or attacking the ground, ground targets. You have an anti-ship missile that for now doesn't have too much of a reason to be here, but still, it is there. And, you still have the same things. You have a maul system, which is, I think, something that Gripen doesn't have. So overall, guys, I understand why they are adding this. It's an aircraft that, although it feels like it doesn't have much of a place, it has some advantages where the Gripens lack. Honestly, 12.7, right? 12.7, right? I mean, it's about time we see the Gripen E. And that's an aircraft that will be much better than these 2 in air-to-ground or air-to-air capability, right? At these higher tiers of ground battles. But at the end of the day, it is something that it's there for you to use. I think it's a good option because it is different from what you have in the Tech Tree. Unfortunately, it is pretty much just a copy-paste compared to other Tech Trees. But imagine that you are a Swedish main. You will like to see this, right? So, yeah, of course, you still have the good old, Hornet over here that can take some JDAMs, laser JDAMs and stuff, which is pretty great as well. But again, guys, you cannot defend yourself and still take the same amount of missiles or bombs for air to ground. So for air, I think that's the objective with this thing. It's to be an air striker, right? Which is a good option for the Swedish Tech Tree. So yeah, unfortunately, copy-paste, but it is a good option for the Swedish main that wants it, okay? So this is it. This is my review on the F-16AM. You should get it if you want to use air to ground. For air to air, you still can do a lot of things. I still believe Gripen Bs and Ds would be a better option, but okay, this is a different option, right? It would still be better in certain aspects than the Gripen B or D. I mean, the D, it depends, but yeah. Anyway, you get the point, right? So this is it. This is the new F-16AM full review on it for now. It is not 100% yet, so might see some changes next week. We're going to keep an eye out. And yeah, see you guys. Bye.